Very good morning, Benny. Ripping and a tearing as we spiral very, very quickly down towards the back end of the season and the semi-finals. You touched on it before, pretenders and contenders. There's been a few people put their hand up, few teams back with a slight chance. A slight chance. The Brisbane Broncos, obviously one of those with a big win.
Are you part of this conspiracy theory thinking the Broncos are a chance of making the 8?
Was it? The quote goes, so you're telling me there's a chance.
Right. Lloyd Christmas. Yeah, no.
So you're telling me there's a chance.
Well, there you go.
Yeah!
All right. So they upset the Cowboys, who we'll get into in just a second, contenders or pretenders. So they've got a couple of points there. They get 2 points for a bye this weekend.
Yep.
Then the next 3 games, the last 3 games, are all at Suncorp Stadium. They take on the Eels, desperate to show the new coach coming in. They deserve to still be there. Then it's the Battle of Brisbane. It's an away game for the Broncos. It's still at Suncorp, though. Redcliffe, who will be fighting, scratching, doing everything they can to get in and stay in the 8. Then, in the final week,
the
at
dreaded
Suncorp,
Melbourne Storm.
The Melbourne Storm, exactly. Who, if they seal the minor premiership, we know Craig Bellamy has history of resting players that week before the finals. So that is the theory behind Brisbane winning and getting maximum points over the next 4 weeks. A bye, tick. Will they get their next 3? That's my question to you.
Well, what we saw on the weekend was, particularly the second half, a big turnaround from what we've seen over recent weeks.
Yep.
So that's some positives to take out of it. I actually feel that the bye has come at a bad time because now they've got a week off. Yes, they can refresh and do that side of things, but you lose that little bit of momentum, that little bit of groove, that little bit of cohesion that they felt up there in North Queensland. So that'll be interesting to see how that unfolds. It gives people an extra week, however, to potentially overcome injuries.
Well, Reece Walsh's hand yesterday did not look good.
Well, he's getting scans this morning, so we'll wait and see what unfolds there.
It looked like he had a splint underneath his, like a couple of fingers that were put together.
Ezra Mann won't be back. No. Payne Haas won't be back. So the only person that'll benefit out of that would be Reece if he's okay, and any other players that have got niggling injuries. So to answer your question, they play the Parramatta Eels. Now, did you see enough from Brisbane against the Cowboys to suggest that you're going to be very confident in the next 3 weeks? I'm not sure. They won the game and they had to win the game. They had to do it any ways possible, and they did that. They play Parramatta, who have shown, just on the weekend gone, that they can push any team. It was 3 tries in 3 minutes to the Penrith Panthers. So they will play a style of football that they don't really care too much, and it could, well and truly worry a couple of teams moving towards the back end. Then you go to the Dolphins, and that'll be an absolute corker. That'll be a sellout between the Dolphins and the Brisbane Broncos, because if it sets up, if the Broncos get over the Parramatta Eels, then Wayne's Dolphins has the opportunity to harpoon and just take out the Broncos, which I've got no doubt.
Can you use harpoon and Dolphins in the same sentence?
I've got no doubt over the peninsula.
And Sea Shepherd on
over the peninsula, they would love nothing more than to end Brisbane's run in what is potentially and then they finish with the Storm, who they have just had an abysmal run against the Melbourne Storm. Doesn't matter if they rest players or not, they have had an ordinary run. And if they were to rest players, the only sort of players I'm thinking that will get rested would probably be Jerome Hughes, who's played a lot of football. You wouldn't expect Munster to get rested because he's only just come back. He's only been back 3 weeks. Maybe Harry Grant and maybe a couple others that have carried a couple of injuries. But outside of that, I mean, some of their bigger name players, they haven't played long bouts of football. So interesting how that unfolds. They play the Penrith Panthers this week, so it'll be potentially going for minor premiership out of those two teams in this game. So a lot to unfold, but for Brisbane, they needed a win. They got a win. That was the main thing. And, all the noise coming out of their camp at the moment is they still have a faint chance.
All right. The Alltel Your Business Outsourcing Partner open line is there for you. It's your direct line, Corey Parker, 13 13 55 0467 736 736. Are the Broncos contenders when it comes to making the 8. I mean, to make finals. If they do limp in or get there, they're just making up the numbers. So contenders for the title, no. What about the Cowboys and Dolphins? And let's work backwards here, Cozza. The game yesterday afternoon, the Dolphins and Warriors, Suncorp Stadium, you were there, you were sidelined, you saw it up close and personal.
Yeah.
Are the Dolphins contenders or are they pretenders? They get to a 14-point lead again.
Let's call it. Again, I'll call it how I see it and be honest, and I'll probably offend a few people, but look, the Dolphins are pretenders.
Because that's worried you in the past.
They're pretenders.
Wow.
It's a fantastic story, and I hope that they do play semi-finals in Wayne's last year, and what is would be a great reward for them because they've been they've been worthy of playing finals all year. But are they going to win a comp? No, they're not. Like they're just not. So based on what we saw yesterday, 20 points to 6. They were up. They get run down. They go into extra time. It was an O'Sullivan field goal that was the difference. They've done that 3 weeks in a row. They did it against the Roosters. They did it against the Titans. Now they nearly got it against the Warriors.
Yeah.
They're a developing side. I hope they play semi-finals. Are they going to win it? No, I don't think anyone in the competition thinks that the Dolphins are going to win. So, there's your answer there. You go off the back of that, your next question is going to be around, obviously, the Cowboys, who are sitting 7th at the moment. Pretenders or contenders? I mean, you're framing it up. You can only say they're a contender or a pretender. I think they're a pretender based on the inconsistencies that we've seen. Can they score points? Yeah, absolutely they can.
Can they do? And I guess this is the question about the Dolphins as well. Can they be disruptors? Can they do some damage if they make the finals?
They could do some damage. Yes, they could. Based on some of their strike players, they can score a lot of points in a quick succession. But it's defence, and this is where I lean on so hard. Defence wins competitions. Defence stands up at the best time of year, which is where we're heading. Last year, Brisbane Broncos, second best defensive team in the competition, played in the grand final. This year, they've dropped down out past 8 or 9 in that area. That's where they're sitting. So you can't fabricate, you can't mask defence at this time of year. It has stood tall. The Cowboys are in that area. They're around 7th for their defence. They'll be thereabouts. They can absolutely worry. If they can get a real good grip on their defence in the coming weeks, anything could be possible. But you just got to think, based on what we've seen throughout the season, there's a lot of inconsistencies in that area.
One bloke who has been consistent every single time he's pulled on the jersey is Max Plath for the Dolphins. You say defence, 63 tackles.
Yeah.
He clocked up. He should be Rookie of the Year, but he got suspended. So
you've got him Rookie of the Year?
Well, Ethan Strange is probably the other one for the Raiders, who had a spell last week because he's only a young kid, played every game. Yep. But I would suggest that the positions Max Plath has been in, what he is, his dad was the Mr. Fix-It at the Broncos. He's that and more at the Dolphins. And Jesse Bromwich, his captain, like he's a bloke, 300 games, played test for the Kiwis and also part of that Melbourne Storm system. He's got a big rap on Max Plath.
He's pretty impressive. We've had him come off the bench. He's played, our starting lock. He's, been our starting hooker since Jeremy's been out, and I think he's one player's player at every position he's been at. So he just keeps getting better and better. He's just someone that consistently works hard. He gets the results. So as long as he keeps doing that, he's going to be a very good player for a long time.
Yeah, I've had a huge rap on Max Plath. I love everything about him. His DNA is all about what Wayne Bennett stands for and also what the Dolphins' DNA is, and that's just competing on every play. I spoke to Max straight after the game yesterday, and I said, mate, 63...
He could talk? He could still breathe after 63 tackles?
I said, mate, 63 tackles. He said, oh, really? I didn't think it was that much. I said, yeah, mate, fantastic win, etc. Max Plath will win their Player of the Year. That's my opinion, and if he doesn't, he should. I think he's been terrific. He will play State of Origin, if not next year, the year after. That is how good I see Max Plath. Based on his habits, based on what he's able to do in all sorts of different positions on a week-to-week basis. He is a ripper and a tearer. Like, he just has a red-hot crack. And the way that the game's rules have been tweaked certainly fall into that style of play. Good leg speed. He's sort of robust. He's strong. He's got a great pass on him. So, love everything about Max Plath.
Should the Rookie of the Year be dictated by a suspension?
No, because I don't think it should be. What was he suspended for?
Actually, it's a very good question.
Yeah.
Was it a hip drop?
I think it's always difficult, right?
Yeah.
Because we see so often, like if really sometimes there's just some just unfortunate accidents.
Yeah.
But he would be well and truly in the conversation. I think Ethan Strain's had a great year. I think he really has. Playing in the 6, it's a pivotal position, as to Max. But I think Ethan may get that opportunity as Rookie of the Year. But you make a good call there, Benny. Should you be rubbed out because of suspension? It's difficult, depending on what it is.
No, I don't think you should. 1355 0467 736 736. Cozza, Bronco Dave has just texted in. He said, question, should we be worried that we scored 42 points without Ezra, given the previous 9 weeks?
I don't think you should be worried. Should be happy. I mean, look, Ezra, take Ezra's last game, which wasn't great, but the one before that, against Newcastle Knights was Ezra's one of his better games of the season. So he's a terrific player.
That was the one that Renault was back and look, confidence was there.
Ezra's a young guy still learning his craft. This is the same. Is this the same guy, Dave, that scored 3 tries in a grand final on the biggest stage? Come on, mate.
I'll leave you with this one before we head into the break, because for me, what really stood out, and this stood out in that win against the Cowboys as well, they were trying to score off every play. The Broncos. I mean, Katoni Staggs, that try that he scored, the one where he had to get up and, busted, it was fantastic. But you know what? He had an unmarked Karapani outside him. Just toss the ball, and you're guaranteed. There just seems to be, among other things, at Red Hill, like everyone's trying to score off every play.
Well, that's what pressure does, doesn't it? That's what the expectation and of needing success does. You sort of internalise and you sort of worry about yourself and you try and get it all done yourself, as opposed to lending yourself more to the team and as a collective group going after the result. They got it done. They got it done on the weekend. And if you go back over their last few performances, you go back to the week before, it was 2 tries individual from Reece Walsh, so it wasn't really created by the team. The week before that, it was an individual try from Walsh and also Staggs, as you just touched on again. So, but it was just
that's the problem, right?
Yeah, I know. But it was just so important that they got a win and they can build off that. That was sort of, they just needed to win any which way possible. So, and they did that.
1355 0467 736 736. This is the Monday Means Test. Corey Parker with us until 10 o'clock. Biting. What should the penalty be? The alleged bite. Alleged, really? Yes, so Kyle Flanagan, he has been directed straight to the judiciary after taking a nibble on Stephen Crichton's nose, allegedly. What should the penalty be? We'll get stuck into that straight after this.
First I've seen it, but that's damning evidence, that one.
Yeah, there we go. That was NRL footy over the weekend when they saw that for the first time. Post-match, Stephen Crichton gets a nip on the nose, allegedly, from Kyle Flanagan, who's been referred straight to the judiciary for that. Biting.
Yeah.
Is there anything worse on the footy field?
Yeah, absolutely there is. I think so anyway.
Why?
Mate, the worst thing I reckon you could probably do on a footy field is spit on someone. Like, if I was playing and somebody had spat on me, it's ball down and pulling them up from the pavement. Like, we're on. Like, and there's no questions asked. Like, that is one of the lowest things you can do in society, let alone on a footy field.
Fair.
So
biting would be up there, though, wouldn't it? In the semi-finals, if not grand final, gouging?
Gouging's not great.
Okay.
I mean, I don't, gouging, like, if you're gouging, what are you trying to gouge? Are you trying to, like, pull their eyeball out? Is that what?
If you're biting, what are you trying to do?
Well, there's mitigating circumstances with biting. And this is an alleged circumstance, this one. But with Kyle Flanagan, like, there's a few things that I've got around this. Now, there's been a complaint made at the end of the game. If Stephen Crichton understood and thought that he had been bitten, make the complaint straight away. Straight away, because what's going to change between there and the end of the game? He's obviously felt, I've been bitten. The other thing I've got there is it should have been a penalty to Kyle Flanagan, who had the ball, who Stephen Crichton had made the tackle, changed his gait in regards to where he was, and used his head to put all sorts of pressure on Flanagan. Now, that is normally deemed a penalty. It wasn't that case. But now, from Stephen Crichton doing that, his nose has come in contact with alleged in the mouth of Kyle Flanagan, which is now he's said that he's been bitten. So, mate,
looking at the vision, he bites his nose.
Looking at the vision, his nose is in his mouth. At the start of the vision, his head was nowhere near his mouth.
But he still bites it.
Allegedly. If I jam my head in your head and my nose ends up in your mouth, what are you doing? What are you doing? More importantly, what should the referee do to me? Ben?
I'm trying to think of that
I
scenario.
make a tackle on you. I then change my head from being up beside your head right to the front of you and jam my head hard.
Yeah, chomping down on your nose, though. No, I'm not doing that.
My nose has jammed in your mouth. What do you expect to happen?
I'd probably be yelling.
Yelling.
Yeah.
My nose is jammed down in your mouth. How are you yelling?
I tried to. That's what I'm doing.
Mate.
That's what I'm trying to do. Matt's chimed in saying, penalty for biting 0 weeks. Crichton had his hand on Flanagan's throat, pushed his head into his face and was talking smack. Come on, you've got to expect some sort of reaction if you give it.
I agree with that.
Punch. You know what I'd probably do? I'd probably swing one. Get out of my, try and get you off me, out of my face. Exactly.
Yeah, well,
that's my initial thing would be lash out.
I love Stephen Crichton, PS. I love the physicality that he plays in. And in the game, the context around that, there was some little bits of, there was some feeling in that game. And in that tackle, if you look at the tackle, he goes from tackling him, his head up the side, now his head's jammed right down on him. And we've seen referees give penalties in that instance. That instance, they didn't give it at all. The other thing I've got concern with, I just said, make the complaint right there and then. Right there and then. And then if you have made the complaint, when you go to the press conference, as being the captain, front up and talk about it.
63rd minute it happened. No complaint laid. Press conference. Well, here's Cameron Ciraldo after the match.
Just quickly. His nose was a bit swollen there, but not in great detail, no.
Is that the reason he's not here now?
Yeah, he's getting a few things checked actually, but
It's pretty serious if that's occurred. That's found to have happened on the field.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about it really, so we'll leave it there.
Cameron Ciraldo is paddling there. Like, honestly, what's he got to say? He's getting a few things checked. What's he getting checked?
Oh, his nose, that was bleeding. So whether, I don't know, did it need stitches?
Ben,
I don't know.
Come on.
Did it need, I don't know.
Well, you're saying, I don't know. Well,
because it wasn't in the medical room, but you could see there was blood coming from his nose. You've seen the pictures afterwards that he posted with the blood and the physical mark there. So what do you reckon the penalty should be? Before
Crichton's nose went into the mouth of Flanagan, there was no blood. When Crichton's nose come out, there was blood. So has there been a bite? There has.
Yeah. So what's the penalty?
But where I'm going with it, at what point does Flanagan just have to lay there with his mouth open with a nose jammed down his throat?
And that's what will be argued, I would suggest,
That's my point.
at the judiciary.
I don't think at any stage should Kyle Flanagan feel uncomfortable on the ground with one arm around his top torso, chest area, throat, and the other head on head, moved from where it originally first started to the point where his nose ends up in his mouth.
So he's reacted, and this is the question. So what do you get for that reaction? Like if he was to belt him and get off me, get out of my face, like literally get out of my face.
He gets 1 or 2 weeks, doesn't he?
So what should it be for biting, which is deemed? I would say
I think
worse.
The whole circumstance has been been done poorly. The referee should have made a call right there and then.
Kevin Proctor gets 4 weeks for biting Tyson Gamble. Jack Whiten gets 3 weeks. I think he was offered 2, but got 3 for fighting it from memory. And James Graham gets 12 for
James
biting
Graham was
Billy.
a little different.
Biting's
James
biting.
Graham went after Billy's ear.
13,
He was
13,
like a dog on a bone.
0467 736 736. What should the penalty be, if any? There's got to be some penalty, right? For
Why?
retaliating.
Why has it got to be some penalty?
Precedence.
Because you're saying so, or because it's been?
Precedent.
What do you
Precedent.
mean the precedent?
If you retaliate, you're always getting caught. If you retaliate on a game, if you're third man in, or if you punch someone back, you're going as well.
This will be very, very interesting how the NRL handle this and what sort of penalty, if any, that they give. Because based on what we've seen over the last 6 weeks, let's not go back to the origin where players are come in and then dressed in their civvies, getting 2 weeks. Now you're saying, yeah, it'll be very interesting.
This is why I'm posing the question, Corey. Vanessa's giving us side eye. We need to get to the news. 9:33.